All right, I did note while I'm waiting for parts, this truck has a very challenging time starting up cold. And I did note this morning on cold starts, I'm not getting any fuel. Um, it should start up on its own, but once you press the accelerator, it begins to start. It's a rough idle, very rough. Then the fuel injectors begin. Only after pressing the accelerator, before you press it, you get nothing. Then you gotta let it really get warmed up before it'll idle on its own. I have not tested the fuel pressure yet, but once it gets warmed up, everything is fine. Before I get too far into the diagnostics, I figure I bought a fairly inexpensive kit, and I'm just gonna, and I like playing around with this stuff. Hell, I'm retired, I don't mind doing it. I'm just gonna rebuild the fuel pressure regulator right there. Not replacing it, rebuilding it. And let's see where that gets us before I get too deep. I think it's a fuel problem. It's not an air problem. I don't believe. Um, I removed the IAC today right there. Idle air control valve, cleaned it out. Jumped A and B in the diagnostic port. It retracted to its home position. It works. I don't think it's the idle air control valve. Besides, that looks pretty new. Someone replaced it, not me. So I'm going to rebuild the fuel pressure regulator and see if that makes any difference at all before I start delving into other ideas. I was told by the person I'm working on this was a 5.7 liter or 350, but I don't think so. I think it's a 5 liter, which is a 305. And on the VIN up here, the eighth letter of the VIN is an H. That's a 305. That's a 5 liter. Unless someone replaced this engine, I can't. These two engines are very similar. I'm not an expert in Chevy. I can hardly tell by looking at it, but according to all evidence, this is not a 350. This is a 305 or a 5 liter. Makes a difference when you're ordering parts. They share a lot of parts in common, but it does make a difference when you're ordering parts. Okay, first we're going to start disassembling. Okay, some on the bottom, some on the top. All right, let's invert this thing and get it on. All right, on the 91 Silverado that had the parasitic draw, I finally got my used climate control unit. The previous one, the one in the truck now, is drawing 50 milliamps, which seems excessive. This one here looks like it's out of a 94, but yeah, it looks original, and the person I bought it from says it works like a champ. Well, I'm willing to believe them until proven otherwise, but curious to see if this still draws 50 milliamps, and that's just the baseline for this part. It's kind of hard to believe, but first I'm going to start pulling codes because I have a check engine light, but I want to try to diagnose it without code, the rough idle of the truck without codes. And I just didn't want to be a parts replacer, and I did some diagnostics and just intuition, and I finally got a proper service manual. That's the 91 Silverado out there. So now I'm able to look at the inputs to the mic, to the ECU, and figure things out a little better. But one part I am going to replace, because it's critical to the rough idle situation, is the idle air control valve. I'm a little concerned about the one that's in there. The other thing I'm concerned about, oh, and replacing the fuel pressure regulator helped. It helped. The other thing I'm concerned about on these trucks is the fuel injectors. Those fuel injectors looked good, and they looked like they were replaced. However, it's common on these trucks, knowing that that's a 5-liter, people will purchase, and I saw this online, I was reading about it, people will purchase just generic fuel injectors, and most often they purchased the ones for the 5.7 liter, which will work in here. But they do make specific fuel injectors for the 5 liter, and they actually squirt a little less fuel. They're specifically made for the 5 liter. So I found some remanufactured fuel injectors made, the part number is specific AC Delco just for the 5 liter, not for the 5.7. And I believe the ones that someone put in there are for the 5.7, not the 5. So I could be getting a rich mixture. And that could also explain what's going on as well. So I'm still working on it. The problem is with this truck is someone's been in there and done all kinds of stuff, and I don't know the history of it. So I'm backtracking to figure out what someone done did to it. I'm not dealing with an original truck. That makes it extra challenging. So first, I'm going to replace the idle air control valve and give it a cold start. Absolutely cold. I've not started it today. It's been well over 12 hours or more. Give it a cold start. And then the reason why I want to do it in this order, then I'm going to test the parasitic draw with this in it, see if it's less than 50 milliamps. And the reason why I want to do that is to do that, I've got to disconnect one of the battery wires, and I want to do that anyway because I want to reset the ECU anyway by disconnecting a battery wire. So let's start out with the idle air control. Okay, so on the diagnostic port Gen 1, onboard diagnostic port Gen 1, I've got A and B jumped with a wire because I want to retract the idle air control valve. Now I got to deal with this tricky, okay. There's the check engine light. It's going to start flashing codes. I'm not going to read codes right now, but we should hear. Yep, you can hear it. That's the idle air control valve. Should be in the process of retracting. I want to give it a minute. And I can feel it. It's vibrating. Now whether it's actually working or not, and it's trying to do something, but I want it to fully retract before I take it out. I'll start reading codes later. This is the last thing I'm going to do before I start reading codes to figure out. I still got a rough idle. It runs a lot better with the fuel pressure regulator changed and the injectors. I cleaned them and they're spraying fine. I just don't know that they're the correct injectors. I'm going to pull the cap on the throttle position sensor. There we go. Lay that aside. Let's compare it. If I can get this camera not to turn off. Let me open up the new one. These things ain't cheap either. Being very careful with this. I'm sure the solenoid mechanism is probably sensitive. Look at that retraction right there. I'll put the gasket on, I'll show you side by side. Look at that. There's the retraction on the new one, and the old one. I don't think the old one works. Wouldn't that be nice? Already got thread locker on it. Wouldn't that be sweet if our idle problem was solved by that thread locker's making it hard to turn by hand. Let me see if I can turn it by hand now. A little bit. Gasket's looking good. Okay, we're tightening down. All right, let's get the auto position back on, and let's get the... Okay, we're back in place. I wonder if it's going to start. Hold start. It's a problem with headers. There's this one spark plug wire. Got to deal with that. All right, just like yesterday, while I'm waiting for I want the computer to totally reset itself, the ECU, so I'm gonna freshen up the positive battery terminals. This is the wire to the alternator. I don't like that one. That's going to get a reboot, to use modern terminology. I think I can work with that one. I'm just going to freshen that up a little bit. Kind of a rat's nest, but I think I can work with that one. Let's see where I can lay my phone. Still recording. Maybe this wire stripper will work for that gauge. We'll see. Looks like a 10. Getting close to the fusible link. Mashy, mashy. No. You did not. You did not do what I wanted. The alternator wire did not cooperate. I want you completely underneath. I want full cooperation during the mashy process. I expect full, complete mashy cooperation. Okay. Let's get this back on. That's a 12. Interesting, one terminal is metric, the other's English. Yeah. All right. That's better. That spark plug wire touching the header. I'm going to address that. That's a two-handed job. I'm going to do that before I start. I'm going to wrap that in some electrical tape and pull that up away from the header. Needs a new wire for daggone sure. That wire's toast. All right, I pulled this spark plug wire away, but you know, before I started, here's another thing I noted. And again, just looking around, it's not what I'm tasked to do, but you do not. Someone zip tied the spark plug wires to this cluster of communication lines that all go to the ECU. You do not want your spark plug wires touching your wires that go to the ECU. Never, ever, ever. You want your high energy spark plug wires completely separate from your ECU wires. Completely, not touching. God only knows, you know, I see why they did it. They didn't want the spark plug wires touching the headers, but man, these should be run under. These need to be rerouted through the back and under and away from the ECU wires. This is nutso. The problem doesn't exist over here because you don't have any ECU wires. Maybe a couple of sensor wires, but man, I'm going to have to deal with that. I think I'll have to rig something temporarily with wire to hold this out of the way. Make a makeshift bracket. That's nuts. Golly. These could have been arcing over to the ECU wires. God. It never ends. Jeez. I'll deal with that in a minute. Okay. Okay. It's controlling the actuators. I'm just going to turn the whole system off. Start the truck again. Through a code. It's a good idle. Yeah, there's still something horribly wrong. I'm starting it by giving it a little gas. It's so rough. There's something kicked in. As soon as something kicks in, then it throws a code. As soon as it smooths out, it throws a code. As soon as everything smooths out, it throws a code. All right. Got to find out what the code is. Look at that, charging good. Charging at over 14 volts. Oil pressure's high or good. Temperature's rising. Now see, look, it's getting rough. And then it dies. All right. Then there's a noise. That's the computer. And then it goes and it turns off. And the computer goes to sleep. I believe, and I'll test this theory if I have my paper clip here. I've got to go look this up, but I believe if the computer is functioning, when we jump it A to B, like I just did, okay, and when you first turn it on, without starting it, it should blink 1 and then 2 blinks for 12. It just did. So it blinked 12. That means the computer's functioning. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. So that means the computer's working and functioning. 1, 2. 1, 3. 3. 3. 3, 3, 33, 1, 2, 1, 2, so 12, yeah, 33, 1, 2, 1, 2, let's see if we get a 33 again. 3, 3. We're getting a 33. 3, 3. We're getting a 33. Let's go look that up. We're getting a 12. Back to a 12. That means the computer's working. So the only code we're getting is a 33, it looks like. Three. Okay, we're getting to 33. I hear the computer. then it goes to sleep. Okay, I'm pulling the paper clip out. We're getting to code 33. All right. 33. Map sensor. Circuit error. Signal indicating low vacuum. I pulled that vacuum line of the map sensor and it was cruising. We get back there. We get that back there with a mirror. I felt that vacuum. It felt good. I'm gonna need to get a flashlight. All right, I'm gonna try to get this truck idling on its own so I can feel that vacuum. Might even try to test it. But interestingly, the map sensor, one of the lines out is purple. And one of those lines disconnected from the computer over there is purple. Is that a clue? Now, while my foot is on the accelerator, I'm not throwing a code. The code will only be thrown no code it's only going to be thrown when I release my foot from the accelerator and the idle goes low. See, there it is, the idle goes low, and there's the code. So that means the map sensor is probably working. And the manifold absolute pressure did go low because the idle was too low. Off the vacuum. Leave that off. Put that on, the idle goes down. Take it off, the idle goes up. Leave that off. Get something to plug that map sensor vacuum. Hey.
My car will be ready at 1.
Okay.
You did a great job. You said it cleans up so beautifully. It looks amazing.
We'll go there at 1.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I'm curious if that purple wire from the map sensor is the same as that disconnected purple wire. God dang. Touching the headers. I'm gonna need a screwdriver to get that off. Okay, I'm connected to the purple wire from the map sensor. Not touching anything there, coming around. Got a continuity tester ready to go. I'll show you that it works. Okay, here's that purple wire that was freed from the computer somewhere. Listen. Continuity. This purple wire from the map sensor was yanked out from the computer. So the computer is not receiving that from the map sensor. So the question is, in which one of those ports does it go? I think we got a clue. Now possibly to the rough starting. Now I got to research where the fudge it goes. Now we're on to something. I was getting to this anyway. I was going to, I have on order a shop manual for the cat who owns this car that I'm working on it for. It just came in today, as a matter of fact. Hopefully the shop manual has the schematic that's going to show me this. But I think we got a big arse clue. Now, in terms of parasitic draw with the new climate control module in there, let's see if we've reduced it to below 50 milliamps. I'll come back to that map sensor in a bit. Get my rig set up. All right, we got the milliamp meter hooked up. We're on milliamps. We're using the positive terminal. Here we go. 5 milliamps with the new climate control module in there instead of 50. 4.98 parasitic draw. Folks, we've solved the parasitic draw. Traced it to the climate control module. That is fantastic. Parasitic draw solved. Alternator non-charging solved. Still working on the rough idle. We got it down to a map sensor wire not connected to the ECU. And there's one other wire, a black with a white stripe, that's also pulled out of the ECU. I got to figure out where that goes. Freshen up the battery terminal connections. Still got a spark plug wire. I'm going to leave that to my customer. That's ridiculous. Man, we're making progress. We are making progress. You know what? Since I'm going to be yanking the ECU, most likely, and doing some, maybe some more continuity, I'm going to leave the battery positive disconnected. I'm going to cover that carburetor. I'm covering that carburetor to keep the critters out. Okay. Now I'm going to go study schematics. My favorite thing in the whole world. I love studying schematics. Stereo Police. Back at you in the next episode. Oh, by the way, this is all from the dashboard of that 91 Silverado that I'm working on. Yep. Good golly, Miss Molly. Stereo Police, ciao. Listen to that idle. All right. Think I got the problem solved. The purple wire for the map sensor is map sensor ground. Should be 0 volts on key on and when engine's running. That makes it easy for a temporary test. So what I did is I took the purple wire, took some alligators, and I jumped it to ground. It's already running better. I still want to stick it in there. The black wire with the white is a system ground. That may be affecting the computer in some way. I got to figure out where that goes. It's already running better. And I can go back and find it. I'll just give you an example. 5 liter. Here's the map sensor on the 5 liter. So purple is map ground. So we were not grounded. So the map sensor was not working. Okay, the green is the map sensor signal to the computer. And gray, which is a 5-volt reference to the map sensor. So the sensor was not grounded. So I'd like to test the map sensor to make sure we're getting the 5-volt reference on the gray wire as well at some point. I'm not doing it today. We're actually spraying less fuel. So that connector's pushed all the way in. I'm probably not getting a great ground with that alligator. We are not heated up yet. Okay. Let me do what I did before and do a start with my foot off the accelerator. It starts right up, man. Here's where it would bog down. Look, no foot on the accelerator. Here's where it would bog down, not want to start, nothing. And if I did give it some gas, like this, then it would bog down. It's not bogging down. It was the map sensor all along. Oh my God. And I was spewing out when I pressed on the accelerator. You don't see any fumes now. I was spewing out black smoke. Soot. I'm not spewing out soot now. Do it one more time. I could not do this before. Ready? Foot off. Here we go. Oh man, right to an idle. Right to an idle. And then what happened before, you can see we're getting, the computer's regulating with less fuel. If you remember before, we were getting a crap load of fuel in there. Much less fuel. The computer was trying to compensate for that lack of the map signal. Now, do we have a code? Do we have an error code? No error code. Error code gone. Gone, daddy, gone. No error code. Jumped map signal. It might even run better when I hook that system ground wire back up. That computer is lacking there's one of 2 black wires with white stripes. Both are system ground. One of them is out of the computer. And actually, this is a good idle. I still got arcing spark plugs down there I gotta deal with. I'm gonna deal with those spark plug wires later. Much less fuel. Just the right amount of fuel. I want to turn this off before the headers heat up too much. Man, I got to hear that one more time. Foot off the accelerator. Here we go. Oh my God. A thing of beauty. 14 volts charging. I'm gonna let it idle for just a little bit. Before I forget, I want to tighten that battery terminal. We fixed the problem. I don't think I even need to test that. So I'm going to tighten that. I think the only thing left to do is go ahead and I'm going to verify every one of these pinouts right here now that I have the diagram. Make sure they're all in the right place. And get this system ground here back where it belongs and get that map back in there where it belongs, and then test everything again. And then reassemble the dash. Wow. Let me give that a better ground. Wow. Holy crap. I'm gonna let it idle for a while, make sure. Remember, before it would idle for a while, speed up, then stall. Wow. This truck is running so good. I had to go in. I'm celebrating early tonight. Early. The map sensor ground. That was it. And there's a lesson here. Oh my God. Holy shirt. Good Lord. The lesson, and I'm partly guilty of this, on this job, partly guilty, is be a troubleshooter, not a parts replacer. And early on, one of the earliest freaking things I found were these two wires right here out of the computer. It's one of the earliest things I found, and I didn't explore them because I didn't have my shop manuals and I couldn't find a pinout diagram of that computer online. So I waited, and out of impatience I replaced 3 parts on a hunch. Had I had the schematics, I would have explored these first and would have found the problem without replacing parts. So, partly my fault, but partly just not having the shop manuals handy. It's been about an hour. Oh, more than an hour. We do a cold start. Wow. No smoke or soot. Charging nicely. New climate control module. Oh. You pop. Oh, that's supposed to be popped out. That controls. That was out intentionally. I remember someone didn't want this module to turn on the compressor. I'll tell my customer that. Someone did not want that compressor to turn on. Wow. Wow. Map sensor ground. Sorry, I just had to come out and check it again. Stereo police.